Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Hey, it's your boy Skills. Hey, how y'all doing? Alright, first of all, I just want to send a shout out to my boy, my dog, Chris, and also to my one of my homies, Ian. Hey, y'all, Skills, just want to say thank y'all so much for your support. Y'all like my two biggest fans, but I know I got a whole lot more big fans too, but, you know, definitely want to send a shout out to y'all. So, alright, we're going to go ahead and do the second, I guess, I won't say 2.0, but episode 2 of Ask Skills. So thank y'all so much for the responses. I mean, they were just, wow me, just phenomenal. So right now we're going to kick things off with a question from WebPoll. Alright, and this question is, hey Skills, I've been wondering about your opinion on the current state of video game journalism, primarily with the way reviews are handled. I'm sure you've heard of this, but a lot of people think reviews for some titles are paid, meaning that the publishers have paid the reviewers to give a positive rating. But even if this isn't the case, some companies have stated that they will only send early review copies to journalists with a history of giving their games good reviews, which may lead many reviewers to always give positive ratings for fear of no longer receiving review copies. Considering your position in the industry, I would definitely like to hear your opinion on this matter. Alright, WebPoll, excellent question. What I want to say is that I've been a journalist since 1996. That was when I started my internship at the Sun Herald in Biloxi, Mississippi. And there was an incident that happened. There was this hockey team. And the hockey team, they had this PR person came to the newsroom. And I was like, wow, okay, he's with the Seawolves, cool. So he passed by and I said, hey man, I think your jerseys are cool. And he said, really? He's like, what size you wear? And I said, what is like? I'll get you an authentic jersey. I was like, nice. Okay, that's pretty sweet. But then, like, one of my coworkers pulled me to the side and said, look, man, you know, that's a conflict of interest. That goes against the code of ethics. And I said, what do you mean? He was like, because, see, you get that jersey. And, hey, no one may even know about it. But then it's like, when this, you know, team or there's a player that's connected with the team is shown in an unfavorable light, then what happens is you feel compelled to like just make part of that story disappear. And the problem is that with the journalist, our job is we have to be fair, we have to be balanced. I'm not talking about Fox News, alright? I'm not talking about propaganda. What I'm talking about is being completely real. Even if it's a franchise that you really like, if they're doing something that's bad, that's wrong, you call them out. You have to. I mean, you don't have a choice in that if you're a journalist. Now, if you are a blogger, you know that you've never went to J school, which is journalism school, you never understood anything about the code of ethics, then yeah, you'll accept gifts and then just say, hey, okay, yeah, it's not going to sway me, but it will sway you. You know, that's why we have a policy at the newspaper to not accept gifts that are over $5. Actually, places can't feed us. However, if we're in a position where, you know, it's like a remote location and they're the only food, then yes, we will accept that food. But for the most part, we can't be like that. We can't accept trinkets, any of that kind of stuff. What happens is, if you do accept that, it just keeps, you know, it's just like a candy jar. Keep going back, keep going back. Then what happens is, when something is, you know, something happens at the company, like PSN getting hacked, and you think, oh man, I got all these, they sent me a PlayStation 3, they sent me this, they sent me that. Then it's like, you feel compelled to not even report on it. But that's the difference between a newspaper journalist, you know, and bloggers, people that write for websites. See, because the thing is, they have an incentive. You know, they have to write because of advertising. Us, you know, the people in the newspaper business write, you know, what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to write and just inform the news. They're supposed to chronicle it, supposed to journal it, you know, tell what, the who, what, when, where, why. Like every review I write, that's That's what I'm compelled to do. And the thing is, yes, you know what, it is nice getting early review copies. But the thing is, every review I've ever done, and I've done hundreds of them, I'm always going to tell you the truth. Duke Nukem, I got that a little early, and I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to it. And it was me, I noticed it was absolutely horrible. And I was real, you know, and Jim Redmond, the guy that got canned because of that, he told me, you know, he said, hey, I appreciate you being real. Some people are just being absolutely harsh. And see, that's the thing, I mean, it's just like with Rage. Some some bloggers, some game journalists said, hey, you know, this game is just horrible and everything. I actually got a chance to meet these people. You know, I went to QuakeCon and I actually met the president of Bethesda. The thing is, though, when I played the game and I can see where it's coming from, I'll give people the benefit of the doubt. Some people just want to be blatantly just rude and obnoxious, you know, to people. Here's the thing. Only recently did video game companies start handing out review copies to select journalists. Beforehand, they wouldn't do it. They'd say, hey, you go buy it. But the thing is now, you know, they want to get more exposure. And honestly, there are some, I actually read a review, not a review, but a story about how some video game companies will actually hire writers to write up reviews of their game and then, you know, ship it out there and everything. And you really don't know, you know, I mean, it's, you just trust and look and say, okay, you know what, I see where that guy's coming from, and that makes sense. And you know what, you know, he's been consistent in the past, or he or she has been consistent as far as with their views. So that's it. And you know, my thing is, yes, you know, like I said on my other video, you know, I've been invited to Amsterdam. I've been invited to San Francisco on a trip, flying out real quick, all expenses paid. But the thing is, with me being connected with the newspaper, as much as I'd love to take that trip, I can't. And it really hurts because I want to be competitive, you know. But the thing is, my first job is to make sure you, the consumer, are getting the best, you know, like if you're going to spend 60 of your hard-earned money, I'm playing each and every game as a consumer first, then a critic. And if the game is garbage, I'm going to tell you it's garbage. You know, there's no beating around the bush about that. So each and every one of my reviews are 100% accurate. Like I said, look through them, you know, and I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to nitpick when there's nothing to nitpick, you know, to try to make a name for myself. You know, I'm going to be completely real. Alright, so I hope that answered your question. Alright, next one that we have is from Hall of Game 11. And it says, question, I'm from the UK and I'm about to go into something called sixth form. Can you give me advice on jobs? Like, how did you get to where you are now? I'd do anything to be in your position. Alright, so I had explained that in the last Ask Skills, but it's fine, I'll tell you. What happened is, I was a copy editor. I read stories, make sure everything's grammatically correct. I do headlines. A lot of people think the reporters do that. It's the copy editor. Reporter writes the story, an editor reads it, makes sure everything is kosher in it, make sure that there's nothing in there that can get them sued, everything somewhat factually accurate. Then a page designer gets the story, they put it on a page. And now they're doing like iPad kind of newspapers, so what they do is they'll just figure out, okay, where is this going to go on the site so that it looks nice on the iPad. Then after the layout designer, well, the page designer gets it, the next step is a copy editor. And that's where like when I start off in this business, and actually now what I do part-time at the Houston Chronicle. So I make sure read it, make sure everything's grammatically correct, and then I'll do a headline. Well, that's how I started off in this business, but you know, I used to be a mechanical engineering major, so my mind's always just thinking of, you know, 1,000 miles a minute. So what I did was I learned everything I could. I learned web design, I learned photography, learned page design, learned basic reporting, and just, you know, full spectrum warrior. And then what happened next is when I ended up, after the Sun Herald, I worked there about 5 years, and then I went out to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and worked at the Albuquerque Journal for 3.5 years. And then I was at the Albuquerque Tribune, rest in peace, it closed in February of 2008. What I did was I approached the editor, because I'd actually talked to advertising and said, you know, y'all need like a tech page, that'd really rock. And they were like, yeah. So I went and told my boss, Phil Casals, and he was like, hey man, that's a good thing, you know, like, can you own it? I said, yes sir, for sure. So he said, okay, I tell you what, make up a prototype. So I did, and what I did was I made a prototype, put a centerpiece in the middle. That's the one that, like the package in a newspaper page that has the main art in it, and that's what I did. And the thing is, the skills I picked up at other newspapers, that helped me to just knock out a page. I didn't need anyone else. Just knocked out the page, showed it to him. He said, okay, let's do it. So the rest is history. I started reviewing games, had to beg for every doggone game that we received for a review. But then, after a while, I started, you know, building up a reputation with these people. They know, hey, we can send this guy a game for review. He's gonna, you know, be fair with us and everything. And we're not necessarily fishing for good reviews. We want everything. I mean, these PR firms, hey, everything that they send out, they want you to review it. They want you to give it a 10 out of 10. But it doesn't always happen. But the thing is, they'll deal with you if you're at a big enough location, or if they know that you're going to be fair. But really, it's about your location. If you're at like an IGN, a Chronicle, or Destructoid, New York Times, USA Today, they know that you have the reach, or that you have the potential. But let's say, for instance, you're at these big places, you lose your job. Unless you have a huge enough following, your game supply is probably going to dry up. So what I encourage you to do, keep reviewing, keep pressing, keep plugging away, and bounce it off your friends. Tell your friends to be real with you and see what they think. Alright, hope that answers your question. Alright, so now we have Hiromu 656. Ask Skills. Do you plan on getting a Dazzle or already have one for gameplay videos, or ever thought about making game walkthrough let's plays? Alright. Actually, I have Hauppauge, I believe that's how you pronounce it. A New York company. They make like the video capture stuff. They sent me one to review, and they said that I could, you know, hold on to it, they'd loan it to me and everything. So I actually have that, and I did an unboxing of that. So I'll be using that to capture videos. As far as walkthroughs, right now it's you know, it's a lot of extra work, and I'm gonna definitely do more video reviews for YouTube. But as far as walkthroughs, it's gonna be very, very difficult. And I mean, there's so many out there. So as much as I'd love to do it, time, if I have, you know, if this becomes a full-time gig, absolutely, you know, I definitely incorporate that. So thanks so much for your question. Alright, so let's go to the next one, and this is from the FGT video. Ask Skills question. Hey man, what is your favorite video game movie? And then example, Resident Evil. Really enjoying your videos, dude. Alright, and this is from Aiden Barwick. Alright, Aiden. My favorite video game movie? I'm not gonna trip. I gotta go with Tron Legacy. Tron Legacy. And the reason is, I mean, it's just powerful. I mean, this program decides that he's gonna side with the users and not necessarily with you know, people of his own kind. And I mean, it just really, what I really like most about it is it's about you know, about people taking a stand to do what's right. Not because it's politically correct, not because, you know, hey, I want to go along with the flow, but you want to make a stand, you know, for something that you believe is right. Even though if it's not necessarily right, I respect the person who doesn't just go along with the crowd, but, you know, tries to make a stand. That's why, you know, I mean, it's not in the question, but like the Occupy Wall Street group, I really support them. I mean, I really respect what they're doing, and I just hate that it's resorting to violence, which it shouldn't. So we're not going to talk about news here. We're going to talk about these questions. Alright, so I hope that answered your questions. Alright, and we have a couple more. And like I said, thank y'all for just blowing up. I'm just looking at tons of questions from y'all. Alright, so this one's from Guy Wigist. Alright, and he says, ask Skills, what's your favorite Final Fantasy game and why? Greetings from Austria. Okay, hey man, what's cracking? Alright, so as far as my favorite Final Fantasy game, you know what? You're gonna laugh, but I've never ever played a Final Fantasy game. I know you're like, oh, you know, you're supposed to be this gamer, you know, you work at this huge newspaper. But truth be told, I've never ever really gotten into Final Fantasy, and the reason is the turn-based stuff. You know, it just would just frustrate me because I'm like, okay, hold on, I gotta wait for this person to hit me, and then I can hit them back and stuff. Like in Eternal Sonata, I believe, and with Blue Dragon, that kind of stuff. I never got into that, and I guess the reason is in real life. You think about this. I mean, here you are. You know, you got your dukes up, and all of a sudden, you get hit, and then that person wait, you hit them, and that's not how real life is. Real life is real time. Somebody hits you, you're gonna like, you know, somebody swings at you, you're gonna cover your face, and you're gonna, you know, bob and weave and try to get out of the way. And like with those kind of games, I never really got into them. And you know, as the show, as I get more successful, then yes, I'll actually revisit those games. But right now, I mean, it's just, come on, like, that's not real. I mean, not to say that throwing fireballs is real life and stuff, but still, the thing is, real-time fights happen in real time, not you get hit, ow, and you hit, you understand? So, alright, hope that answers your questions, okay? So